National Front.
You're on National Front, why?
Not for... Because they're not English. They don't belong here.
And our campaign is a cultural campaign. So therefore, if we're against racism, we're a cultural organisation. We're against racism in all facets of British life. But we're not just interested in the fight against the National Front, we're interested in the fight against racism in British society. The all-round family British racism, you know what I mean?
Do you want this country to become occupied by a load of khaki-coloured multiracial bastards?
Has bitten the dust. London calling, see we ain't got no swing except for the rain and the junction thing. The ice is coming, the sun's zooming in. Meltdown expected, the wheat is going thin. Engine stuck on him, but I have no fear, 'cause London is drowning. I live by the river to the imitation zone.
I was involved, as I always had been, since I first became culturally active on the left, or an artist on the left, running a studio. My studio was in Soho in the West End. We had an agitprop theatre group called the Cartoon Clowns. In the evenings we'd rehearse at my studio, in the day I'd be a working photographer. I was asked by NME, would he come down and photograph the punk night? Here I am down the RCA, and suddenly the Clash come on and bang! 15 minutes of unbelievable energy and power and volume and lyrics about unemployment and youth alienation and like, Jesus Christ, and then they were gone, they were off. The economic situation was really bad. The IMF had moved in, they were putting pressure on wage cuts and social services cuts. The whole atmosphere was really dark and hard. The right-wing press playing the same old tune. We're going to be swamped, we're going to be mobbed.
To where would you repatriate those immigrants who were born here?
To where they wanted to go. In most cases, they are the citizens of their countries of origin, although born in this country. A person would be physically seized and deported, like a person being taken on board Majesty's ships of war at the end of the 18th century.
So where would you draw the line, Mr. Powell?
I draw it short of that.
The National Front were growing incredibly. Webster was a clever organiser. He started to march in the right places, make the right noises. They were, as they said, kicking their way onto the headlines.
Keep our country free from invasion when the invaders have got black, brown and yellow faces.
But I was talking to Red in the pub,
We was both really concerned about the rise of the National Front, especially around my area in Walthamstow. They was using the usual scapegoats, Asians, blacks, whatever. And so we said what we need to do is do a thing called Rock Against Racism. Also Bowie was coming out with a lot of crap as well at the time. And then Clapton came out with all that racist shit in Birmingham.
We all know of Eric Clapton as the great blues guitarist, the god hero of blues guitar. Blues that came out of slavery, and here he is supporting the man, Enoch Powell, who's the greatest supporter of white supremacy in Britain at that time. At first we just didn't believe it. I was so angry about it, I just went, we've got to do something about this.
I have the answer.
When we read about Eric Clapton's Birmingham concert, where he urged support for Enoch Powell, we nearly puked. Come on, Eric, you're rock music's biggest colonialist. We want to organise a rank-and-file movement against the racist poison in music. We urge support for Rock Against Racism. P.S. Who shot the sheriff, Eric? Sure as hell wasn't you, mate. I just went, I've got to send it to all the music press. About 2 weeks later, it was published.
I saw Red's letter in the NME. I wrote back to Red quite quickly, and he wrote back to me and invited me along to a meeting. One rainy night, I went over to the East End, and the people in the room were artists and writers and political activists. It was immediate. I thought, this is a gang I'd like to join.
I was going into the print shop fairly regularly. There was Sid and Ruth, so they naturally gravitated, and the energy and the excitement of it and the potential of it was what pulled all these people on board. Sid, he'd been a documentary-style photographer in Australia, so it was quite natural when he came here to London that he would have his camera with him. Ruth really knew what she was doing. She had the graphic sensibility and power that synced right in to the punk explosion.
This photograph comes out of ID magazine, and I have whited it out, I think using Tipex, probably.
This is the very first fanzine we ever did. I'd had the idea of temporary hoarding because it said it so well. It was like a street hoarding, you know, like a rough thing in the street. And then purely by accident, the word "raw" happened to be in temporary, which was great.
It was very much a kind of cut and paste kind of approach. I found this quote from Rod Stewart. I really like Rod Stewart. He says, "I think Enoch Powell is the man. I'm for him. This country is overcrowded. The immigrants should be sent home. That's it." This is the man who just moved to Los Angeles, you know. I mean, the man's so full of shit. And I got rid of all his albums and I haven't listened to him since, which is a great shame.
We were interested in the idea of people being able to express themselves, and that the expression itself was a political act.
Dr. David Widgery, who was one of our great supporters in the early days. He wrote these words. It's like a little mini one-paragraph manifesto. We want rebel music, street music, music that breaks down people's fear of one another, crisis music, now music, music that knows who the real enemy is. Love music, hate racism.
It was a scary moment because punk could have gone either way. Some of the bands did have NF following.
The NF were selling their newspapers outside kids' schools. They were recruiting on the streets.
Most fights which happen in school are caused by racism, right? It's not just by jealousy or hate or something which cropped up between them. It's mostly racism.
I just think the National Front wants someone to blame for what's happening to the country at the moment.
The whole point of Riot, we're trying to put some bit of doubt. Are you really NF? Are you really someone who wants no future? This isn't martial music. This is the roots of this are ska. They're black music. I went down to this club in Peckham, and I was the only white person in the whole place, and everyone was going, who's this fucking bloke?
I met this man, Red Saunders, and he was like talking sense. You know, he was like, we got to get together, we've got to build something that we're all proud of. We got to try and stamp out this ugly demon that's coming into our community, and the only way to do it is to bring people together.
You don't mind the white kids coming along?
No, well, that's the idea, you see. Reggae is for everyone, you know, it's not just for black people, it's for white people, it's for yellow people, green people, it's for people, you know.
There was this incredible cultural explosion going on, which were really lucky for us in Ra, because we were fans of all this. We stepped on the trains, like there's a railway station, the train pulls in, the doors open, punks get on, and all the reggae bands get on, and bang.
Come on, take a bite of the bait. You can't afford to hesitate.
This is the first Ra gig with Matumbi, Dennis Bovell. So that was a hell of a lineup that night. There was a brilliant punk band called 999. To me, they had the energy of the Clash and the outrageousness of the Sex Pistols. The Royal College authorities went bonkers because people were hanging off the rafters and the balconies. 999 came with white working class punks. Always have black and white bands together to break down the fear, because the NF is trading on nothing but fear. That's why it was so important for Ra to have its own political voice with its own fanzine. So Temporary Hoarding was able to go a bit further than just anti-racism.
And I claim that in the ranks of our black shirt legions march the mighty ghosts of England's past.
In this country, in 15 or 20 years' time, the black man will have the whip hand over the white man.
Britain, mother of the empire, has had to welcome in her children and to allow them to settle. They have not been allowed to settle in a dignified manner. And because the blacks have refused to accept indignity and victimage, Britain is stuck with a rebellious black presence in its centers.
We challenged ideas of empire, this subjugation of people all over the world, partition in India, the attitudes of the British as a dominant force, a superior race.
My dad worked for the Crown Agents of the old British Empire. I was brought up as a kid in West Africa, in Nigeria. I remember the extraordinary nature of white supremacy with the European clubs. I mean, there was a sort of unofficial apartheid running through the entire system.
My dad had reported the Prague Spring in 1968, when a lot of writers and artists had tried to take on the Soviets. And my mum, for instance, had come from America, had been involved in the civil rights movement.
We emigrated to Australia in 1960. Some of that time I spent on an island called Palm Island. It was a situation of complete apartheid. We didn't go to school with the Aboriginal children. They had their own school. On my mother's side of the family, my grandmother was a suffragette, so I have at least 2 generations behind me of activism.
We're gonna send the blacks back, we're gonna send the blacks back, la la la, la la la. We're gonna send the blacks back, we're gonna send the blacks back, la la la, la la la. We're gonna shoot the rednecks.
The Front believe, as Hitler's Nazis did, that white Europeans are naturally superior to other people and that the white race has got to be preserved. Britain would be taken out of the common market and new links forged with White Rhodesia and South Africa.
Part of what Ra was doing was trying to think about racism in terms of it is a white problem, and the idea that we were all still living, consciously or unconsciously, with the legacy of colonialism.
That's the plane it's gonna be, the rhythm's got a lot of heat in it. 25, gonna get you doing what it's doing to me.
I've got a sort of knacker talking to these native wallets. Get on with that pandering, you prize-eating Burke.
I wish to make a complaint against the Nignock. Move next door, that's what he's done. What do you mean? Is that all?
Extreme racists have become part of balance, an acceptable point of view within the spectrum of political opinions. Can you imagine the media displaying the rhetoric of, say, black revolutionaries?
I hope to achieve, through the ballot box, by getting people elected, first of all, an immediate halt to coloured immigration, and thereafter the phased repatriation of all coloured immigrants, their descendants and dependents, from Britain to their lands of ethnic origin. And if they don't go, they're going to go.
What would happen if they don't want to go back? And he said, don't you worry, they're going back. Then we're into cattle trains, and, you know, we know what that means, you know what I mean?
Rock Against Racism was white people finally waking up to the fact that, oh my God, there's racism here. Ha, please, you know, black people were living it.
The Front got their best results in Bethnal Green and Bow, where they polled 19.2% of the vote, and in Hackney South, where they took 19%.
The National Front is a Nazi front! Smash the National Front!
The focus was then absolutely on the proper organised politics. Kate Webb was the youngest person who came to work full-time in the RA office.
We were absolutely overwhelmed. We were getting sackfuls of mail, and Red and the other photographers let me have a desk. I used to corral gangs of people. We'd sit there with letters strewn all around the floor, all of us picking up letters, reading them out aloud, and just writing back as quickly as we could.
Your kiss so sweet, your sweat so sour. Your kiss so sweet, your sweat so sour. Sometimes I'm thinking that I love you, but I know it's only lust.
It was the anti-racist enthusiasm, the commitment to people, to the horror of possibility that we may have a National Front administration.
Sweat's running down your neck, heated couplings in the sun.
I remember getting a letter from a kid in Aberystwyth that said, my school teacher's a fascist.
Say Ted in Bognor Regis, you know, Ted who was 14 and going to school in Bognor Regis, and we would say, "Dear Ted, there is no Ra group in Bognor Regis, but you are now Bognor Regis Ra."
I always do it word. You know the change will do you good. You know the change will do you good. Damaged goods, send them back. I can't work, I can't achieve. Send me back. Open the till. Give me the change you said.
This was a coup for temporary hoarding at that time.
You saved your chief, but you're so much. Your sweat so sour.
We're working on temporary hoarding, we're working on the next gig.
But I know it's only lust. The change will do you good. I always do it.
The Rock Against Racism banner that's here and here is rail-on, ironed on. I mean, that's the way, you know, it's all hands-on guerrilla activities. We used to do a gig guide, and it would be instructions to the Ra group who were in Lowestoft or Leeds or wherever they were. If you're going to book a gig, this is what you do. Make sure you control the stage. At no point do you let anybody else get to the microphone.
We're opposed to the idea of the National Front and that, and we want to sort of stop it at the beginning at schools and that.
Come and join the discussion about what we can do to fight the Nazi National Front in schools. See there, we are black, we are white, we are dynamite. School kids against the Nazis can. That's rather good.
I went to a Rock Against Racism gig, and at the end there was black and white people with fists like this shouting "Black and White Unite." I got some literature from a friend and I just realised what the National Front were up to.
Swamper, better call the rat catcher. Swamper, with an alien culture. Swamper, better call the rat catcher. Swamper, with an alien culture. Swamper, better call the rat catcher. Swamper, with an alien culture.
Warrior, warrior, warrior.
the first artists that talked about things that people never ever talked about.
She had fashioned something for herself. The common way that black females are supposed to present themselves is with plenty of flesh and, you know, some exotic ripe berry somewhere.
So one of the current problems at the moment is identity. I think everybody's looking desperately to try and identify with one thing instead of themselves.
School I went to, right, all the kids are supposed to sort of like be factory product, you know, that sort of stuff. And like, the school's sort of built, it's a real sort of depressing school and that. And you go there, you don't learn nothing. All you're sort of like working for is just to go into the factory which is around the corner.
Are there a lot of your fans on the dole? I mean, do they feel the same way?
Well, I mean, if there was jobs, then they wouldn't be on the dole. And maybe we'd be singing about love and kissing or something.
There's all kinds of historical references within the layout. Their thinking was partly to turn them into a gang of outlaws. You know the famous pictures of the James gang? So it's partly that they're all in their coffins and they're outlaws, but also it's a famous reference back to the 1871 Paris Commune, where they lined up all the communards as they killed them.
Temporary hoarding was sold mostly at gigs and demonstrations, and when we had enough money to produce a new issue, then we'd produce a new one.
Ah, Me and My Beloved. That is Notting Hill Carnival in the year of heavy manners, which must have been 1977? Contemporary hoarding tried to pick up specific issues. This is a good one here about sus laws. At that time, there was a massive amount of police picking up black youth. And there's a great quote here. It says, "Sus, on a date unknown, you did conspire with people unknown to rob people unknown."
All it needed was the police officer's word against yours, and the magistrate would send you down. It was used, as my friend Linton Kwesi Johnson says, unscrupulously against us.
You're next.
No, come here.
Been removed to Port Police. All the doors may fail.
You were warned by your parents, if you're going out, be in before 10 o'clock. If we were going to a club and someone didn't turn up, the first thing we thought of, let's check out the local police station. Because that journey between the house and wherever you're going, the venue, could be intercepted by the police. And then the challenge was to get them out of the police station, because staying overnight in the police station was also a dangerous affair.
I was a radiographer at that time. I was stuck in the back of a car. I was taken to the local department store. And to this day, I always wonder what would have happened if the two white women who came to look at me through the window had said, yes, that's her, how my life might have evolved.
The police came to a club where I was having a sound clash. They were coming out of the toilets, so they say, with a prisoner that they had arrested in the toilets. And the audience saw fit to free the prisoner. They then accused me of standing on the stage with a microphone saying, "Get the boys in blue." At the end of 6 months' trial at the Old Bailey, I was sentenced to 3 years. And after 6 months in Wormwood Scrubs, my appeal comes up and I win. And I'm told, off you go and think yourself lucky that you didn't have to spend 3 years in prison.
For something you didn't do?
Absolutely.
Webster, being a clever bastard, designed a march to go right through an area of immigrants and ethnic minorities, you know, a black area of London. We arrived quite early that morning. He went, wow, this is a community that's going to defend itself.
I must put to you our disgust that in fact permission has been given today to the fascists, to the National Front, to march down the streets of Lewisham.
There was a lot of messing around where people didn't really know who was where or what. And there was these continual things. They're coming now, they're coming, everybody get ready. You know, no, no, they're not, no, they're, yes, they're coming now, right. It was very, very frightening.
The only chance today is National Front, nothing else. Take orders from the police, no back chat with the opposition, no leaving the column to fight, and no chanting except for National Front. Have you got that?
And it was only an hour later when whap. When the front came up with all the Union Jack banners, the Honour Guard, suddenly there was this amazing onslaught. And I looked across and I saw all these kids steaming into them. These Cypriot youth who all just went straight in, fascists off our streets.
Stopped them going through to Catford. We've built the Nazis the biggest defeat they've suffered so far.
Unknown to the demonstrators, the National Front had been diverted before reaching the clock tower area of Lewisham. They were routed down Cressingham Road and into a small car park where they were allowed to hold a rally.
Before we start the meeting, we have a debt of gratitude to pay to the police today. As we usually do, I want you to show your appreciation for the unfortunate police who've had this problem today by giving them 3 rousing cheers for the police. Hip hip! Hip hip! Hip hip!
some people were saying, nah, I don't think the police would do that. But they did, they just came in. And that was what took me by surprise. I didn't think they were going to start poking at me eyes and kicking me in the crotch and things like that. But they did, yeah, they did.
That was the first time ever since the Second World War that the British police broke out the riot shield. Webster always used to say, you won't believe the amount of senior police officers who support the National Front. Well, you did see it at Lewisham.
Well, I feel that National Front isn't a problem that you can sort of forget about and it'll go away, because it is a problem, and if you do leave it, it'll grow and grow. It's like a cancer.
There was a massive, massive explosion of solidarity from black militants like Darcus Howe to Jewish businessmen saying, I don't like your politics, but we'll do anything to help fight the NF. I was surprised it got covered. We weren't superheroes, we were just ordinary people. We were ordinary anti-racist citizens. Everybody from Aberystwyth to Plymouth, youth were reading the NME and the Melody Maker and all these papers. And when they became really clear of the fascist nature of the National Front and they put their full support behind it, the level of RA support went up 5,000%.
Alien culture were part of our RA committee in London.
It's about sending a message out to people that we're not that different. This is the problem we have as Asians. Live in this culture but come from this culture, so we have a culture outside, which is punk gigs and politics. We have a culture at home, which is Bollywood films and maybe watching the only Asian program at the time.
The thing to do is organise more, get involved in outside organisations with white people, with black people. The only way we can do it is together.
We had to get our message out there somehow.
Asian parents are concerned about the detrimental effect that they feel white culture will have on their children.
A lot of Asian youths go to discos and play in bands, and they're not actually rejecting their Eastern culture, but their parents think they are, just because they are doing what they are doing, you know.
I'd grown up listening to Beach Boys, Bruce Springsteen, Neil Young, Bob Dylan. You'd rather hear The Jam, you'd rather hear The Clash, Tom Robinson Band, the Sex Pistols, because in a sense they belong to you. Tom Robinson really appealed. You know, songs like Winter of '79, they were of the time.
I went to see the Tom Robinson Band who were playing at the ICA, and I became immediately a really big fan.
Bastards took the chop when the tube's gone up and the bus is stopped. Top folks still come out on top. The government never resigned. The Carry Club was petrol bombed. The National Front was getting awful strong. They done in Dave and in the winter '79. When all the gay geezers was put inside.
I think I wrote to Tom a fan letter and he wrote back. He introduced me through his letters to a load of people and I got to know them. There's a photograph here of Tom. This is me. This is Karen, who was a secretary, and the two Jewish schoolgirls from Camden who went by the name of Scruff with one F and Scruff with two Fs. And we formed a kind of band, embarrassingly, called the Robinson's Rats, and we followed them up and down the country.
At a gig, you'd be dealing with anti-racism, and here you're taking it further. So here we're looking at the war in Northern Ireland.
British troops, once hailed as peacemakers, are now the object of hatred of the Catholic minority, accused of allowing the Protestant government to oppress at will.
We were being held in a grip of fear in our communities of the gunman.
This was about a rape by a soldier of a young woman who told her story in temporary hoardings.
With temporary hoarding, we wanted to introduce the politics of the wider movement continuously into it. So it also had a purpose as educator.
We were able to test out ideas, we were able to move to broader areas.
In those days, there weren't that many people who were making the connection between oppression of lesbians and gay men and racism and fascism. The first article I wrote for Temporary Hoarding was a piece called No More Normals. I wanted to point out the way heterosexual people and behaviour and relationships were regarded as the norm, and lesbians and gay men were totally invisible in the media. Obviously, an important part of temporary hoarding was interviewing bands.
So there's an interview here with Adam and the Ants. Wouldn't you like to rip him to shreds? Which is done by Lucy Toothpaste, and I did the design.
He was determined to say that he was anti-fascist, but he still insisted on his right to use imagery which came from Nazi Germany. What we used to do in our interviews was really challenge and continue the debate as a way to sort of put both sides of these arguments and hear what people had to say.
Our world was a world without any social media. Forget social media, there was no mobile phones. You had to put 4 pennies in a bloody box and press a button. Our world was the underground. The underground press was street posters. London was covered in them. The Clash were one of the most amazing bands, so we've taken the lyrics and printed the lyrics of Riot, I Want a Riot of My Own. And this could get stuck up as a complete individual poster, and that really was the whole spirit of temporary hoarding.
The right wing hijacked White Riot as a song because it was White Riot. They didn't listen to the lyrics. The White Riot is about the fact that wish the white people would riot like the black people do because, you know, we're not happy either.
You can get all the Rolls Royces, all the dough, all the country houses, all the servants you want. I just think there's nothing at the end of that road. No human life or nothing. And that's why I just don't want to go that way. You know, that's why I think that it's all of us or none.
The National Front is a Nazi front. Smash the National Front! Smash the National Front! The National Front is a Nazi front. Smash the National Front! You're nothing
If you met somebody who was just confused racist, not a full-on Nazi, you could win them away sometimes. But full-core Nazis, no, I never met any of them. I wouldn't have sat and debated. There was none of that.
The National Front, celebrating its 10th anniversary by launching a youth section.
When we do start sending the blacks back, it's not going to hurt them. And they'll be given financial aid and assistance. And we think that a lot of them will go back willingly without sort of starting kicking up a fuss and violence and that. You get the odd one, perhaps.
There were attacks on RA groups in different areas of the country. People in Manchester describing people climbing through the windows trying to smash the gigs up.
They had to instruct people when they left the gigs to take all their badges off because Nazis would float around where they knew the gig was and jump people.
A lot of fans were British movement, National Front. They were real white suburban white flight. They were very hostile to black kids.
You look at that fucking Bristol, 200 niggers. You should have shoved 200 skinheads up there, would kick the fuck out of them. The whole building, they'd have fucking run away, a bunch of cunts.
They, the NF and the British movement, they go to the gigs to cause trouble. In the front, there was a couple of skinheads banging this guy's head against the scaffolding, and every time he came up, you know, there was blood more and more. It's just a bad image, really. That's what gets the image. It's just the skinheads, isn't it?
Everyone thought all skinheads were Nazis, which of course was utter rubbish. They weren't, but a lot of skinheads were. You didn't bother to stop and debate the point.
When we played London, we knew what we were going to get. Wednesbury is an area I'd never heard of. We went, walking down, turned the corner where the hall was. There were 30 skinheads standing outside there. We just looked at each other and thought, oh God, not again.
Our job was to peel away the Union Jack to reveal the swastika. Sham 69 had a really confusing relationship with fans.
His fan group, quite a lot of whom were working class kids involved in the National Front or on the fringes of it. He had a strong respect for who he thought these kids were and how they were left out of most decisions in the world, and he didn't want to be somebody who said, you should think like this.
They're all moving down the same conveyor belt. They're all being subjected to, you do this, son. You come from there, son, so you have to do that. If you come from a tower block in the East End, you are subject to either working at the docks or so and so and so. No, you mustn't go out. No, you mustn't leave London and be someone else, because that's wrong. You're not born to do that.
I went down to see Jimmy and his mum and dad because I wanted to ask them if they were prepared to support Riot. Why not do something really clear and do a gig with a black band? We put on this gig with Sham 69 and Misty in Roots. Misty in Roots and Sham were all backstage. I was doing a bit of comparing and backstaging and a bit of everything. Misty started playing dominoes. And the tension in the room as they started to whack down the dominoes on the table. And it was as if they were saying, come on then, you know what I mean? We're here, we're not going anywhere, you know.
It's gonna be a booster breakout.
The British movement got in, dozens of them. What have we done? You know, I started to really doubt the whole idea. I was a real nervous wreck that night. People were freaking out. If they get on the stage, retreat to defend the PA system. If they get to the PA system, turn it off.
I don't know what to do now. What can I do? I preach peace, I go on there, I do my best. And that's all I can do is do my best.
Across the country, there must have been several thousand people from minority communities who just got shit and pissed through their letterboxes with regularity. People couldn't go one-to-one to school. They had to go in groups of 10. I mean, listen to the stories from Bengali communities in East London.
I would say they are shit scared to walk around the streets. It's not going to stop them from staying in this country.
You'd been spat on, people had thrown bottles at you, you'd regularly been called Paki, so it was quite normal.
This Asian shopkeeper, who spent 3 years in a Japanese prisoner of war camp after fighting for Britain in the last war, describes the attack.
All these skinheads throw these stones, they break my all windows, and all of a sudden one is coming here. I break my teeth in here.
Commander Marshall, why is it that the police have apparently not been successful in protecting some Asians, and in fact also some English people, from what is clearly racial violence?
It's speculatory to suggest that all attacks on Asians or any other minority are motivated by racial motives.
I'm not suggesting that all of them are. I'm just saying that it looks as though we've got a new phenomenon of people, and they may be organised or they may not, but actually going out and hunting for people of particular groups.
We have no evidence that they are organised.
In 1977, there were 7 in and around Brick Lane racist murders.
This is when Altab Ali was murdered in the East End.
We got firebombed at one point, and we moved offices.
We had to get into all that stuff. You have to block up your letterbox where you wipe your feet. You put sand down in case petrol comes through. I quite often was terrified. Just after our daughter was born, we got a bullet in the post. I just hid it away straight away. People said, oh, go to the police. I went, are you fucking joking? You know. No, because we knew, like Webster said, the police weren't going to be helping us. Every demonstration we went on, they hindered us. It was our people got arrested. It was our people got kettled. It wasn't the front. This was a gang of street thugs. They were out to terrify you. When RA and the ANL came together, that's how vital the campaign was. It was life and death for many, many people.
I asked Red Saunders, one of RA's founders, what he saw as the difference between RA and the Anti-Nazi League.
It's a difficult question, Janet. I mean, RA and the ANL are completely separate organisations, but they work in unity together on the cultural fight against racism and fascism. We were united in the fight with them against the National Front, whereas we were more specifically cultural and into militant entertainment. They were into the political election fight.
All of us had gone regularly to the Notting Hill Carnival, and we wanted to kind of pay homage to that. And what a brilliant, vibrant thing that was every year.
I remember the Anti-Nazi League, who said that they would help us with funding, wanted us to do it off the back of a lorry. We had completely different ideas.
We're going to march from Trafalgar Square to Vicky Park. The NF were getting the 23% of the vote there. So we went, well, that's where we got to go, the heart of their territory.
I think Red wasn't completely sure that we could pull it off, which is very unusual for Red.
I remember when we first started talking, I thought, bloody hell, you know, that's huge. I don't know that we can be cutting with that. And then once it went, it just rolled, you know. Get permission from the council, vital stuff. Get a stage, build it. Then you get the back line. Then you get the generators. Now at the same time, get the bands. Who's going to be the bands? We've got to have rebel reggae music. We finished up with Steel Pulse because Harnsworth Revolution was out. At the same time, myself and Roger were going, it's got to be Tom Robinson. Then the debate started about the Clash. Got to have the Clash, absolutely, the great energy punk band.
We had a big row over the running order.
Roger and I argued that actually we should have Tom on last, not because we necessarily thought he was a better musician or more exciting, but because it was clear that Tom was the kind of person who, at the end of the gig, would bring people together. So the decision was, OK, well, you go and tell them. You go and tell the Clash that they're not going to go on last and get them to agree then.
Right?
Back in the garage with my bullshit detector.
Bernie Rose, our manager, was going on and on and on about it was all Woodstock and we was all hippies and they were the real fighters.
They played endless tricks on us and turned the lights on and off and were trying to feel us out and test us who the hell we were.
It was very much a question of us swallowing humble pie to support Tom Robinson, who'd been involved since the beginning, so rightly was headlining, but it went against the grain to support someone. But the cause was more important than our personal egos.
I don't wanna go to where the rich are going. I don't wanna know about what the rich are doing. They think they're so clever. They think they're so right. But the truth is only...
Once they come on board, it just exploded. There were threats. In the run-up to the carnival, the Clash went and demonstrated outside the NF headquarters with steel pulse.
They're much too cool to hold placards, is what I think when I look at these photos.
We built the stage, I think, on that week before on the Wednesday. I've never been so nervous in my life. We had a 6-month-old baby at home. I was climbing the wall. And the Anti-Nazi League slept on the stage, so it was protected 24 hours. It had rained almost the whole of the week before. The park was like a swamp.
We were very anxious. We didn't have mobile phones. We had no connection to Trafalgar Square. We had no idea how many people were coming.
I got there like 7 o'clock in the morning. Oh my God, you know, nothing's happening. And the weather wasn't very good. The police were ridiculing us, saying, nobody's going to come to this. No one's going to march. They're only going for the music. And I thought, I'll go up to Soho and get myself a bacon butty and a cup of tea. I came back and just the first big coaches were arriving. This coach pulled up and the doors opened and all kinds of haze of smoke and stuff, kind of all these punks tumbled out. I thought, hello, hello.
Glasgow and a coach travelled overnight.
Got like the Nazis down here to show that they're against them up there too.
They just want to bully people into their point of view, and I think people ought to stand up for their opinions.
The rise of the National Front is probably the worst thing that's happened in this country for many years, politically anyway. And we came up here from Hereford simply to show that there are people from our place who care to try and stop this.
The message of this carnival, not only to the loonies of the National Front, but to all bigots everywhere, is hands off our people! Black, white, together, tonight and forever!
I saw Tom and he said, I've got the whistles. I said, great. And we started throwing out the whistles. And anyone who was at the carnival will tell you the cacophony of noise was unbelievable. The march headed off with all these bands on platforms and those wonderful effigies of Martin Webster, Tyndall, Adolf Hitler that were made by the Splitting Image team. When we came down Bethnal Green Road, all the NF were outside the Bladebone pub. See, oh, see, oh. And down the road came thousands and thousands of multiracial kids, punks, everybody. An hour later, the march was still coming, and they were kind of, see, oh, fuck, let's go and have a drink. You know, they just fucking gave up.
This is a multiracial borough and we want it to stay that way.
Every human being has got the right to live and to have employment and shouldn't be treated as less than a human being.
Because I feel really strongly about racial prejudice. I think it's a slur and a disgrace to this country.
12 o'clock we was going to start, and I know it's a bit biblical, but the sun broke out. I came onto the stage, there was a bloke with a dog, there was 2 kids on bikes, and that was it. And there was Victoria Park, no one in it at all. So X-ray specs were going to open.
Coming into Victoria Park and hearing that some people say little girls should be seen and not heard, but I think
bondage! Up yours! 1, 2, 3, 4!
The security was a complete shambles. They could defend the stage against the NF, but how do you defend the stage against 80,000 pogoing 18-year-olds? Defence went down, people collapsed, people were being brought out. And this guy, he said, "Can I help?" And I turned around, there's this 70-year-old St John's ambulance guy with his cap and his uniform. The unsung hero of the day. I told the council that we expected 500 people because we didn't want to get involved in bringing in portaloos. The park keeper came and we introduced him to Still Pulse's crew, and the last time I saw the park keeper was a big cloud of ganja smoke. So that was the council dealt with.
In Mayfair, rioting in Notting Hill Gate, fascists marching on the high street, carving up the welfare state.
Being there and seeing the numbers coming in through the gates, hour after hour after hour, the numbers just kept coming. We had no idea how many people were going to come, and the PA was desperately unsuitable for that gig. The sound was awful, and yet the thing was just being there was the important thing about that.
Everyone said to me, "Oh, Red, you should do the comparing." I said, "Oh, God," you know, I was really anxious about it. I used to play this character called Mr. Oligarchy in the theatre who controlled all the workers, you know. I wear my Mr. Oligarchy's cape and I ran on stage and I screamed out, "This ain't no Woodstock, This is the carnival against the fucking Nazis. And there was a massive roar from the crowd, and it sustained me throughout the day.
Rock against racism, rock against fascism, rock against Nazism. It was a tough decision, smash it.
We go out and there's 80,000 people, and that audience knew who we were, and we weren't being booed off, we were being accepted. In fact, they were singing along. And we got applauded for wearing Ku Klux Klan hoods to a wide British audience, which was simultaneously humbling and hilarious.
To know that we made a big difference and to see that there was a lot of people that was against the negativity of racism, you know, it was still a milestone in what we've achieved.
We came away from that thinking, of all the other horrible things which are happening, this is a mass audience saying, look, you're okay, we support you.
The best thing of all was the jam at the end. I do remember the jam. I do remember them all coming on, and Jimmy Percy coming on as well and joining them.
Jimmy Percy could bring a group of people into the carnival that we wanted to try and reach. There are all kinds of dangers involved in that, because you're bringing people who may be involved in fascism or maybe a threat to other people.
We thought it'd be great if Jimmy could get on stage with us to nail his colours to the mast as well, to say to the Sham 69 fans, I'm not a racist. We had no idea how many people were out the front. And my vivid memory of that day is walking up, because it was a very high stage, walked up this stage and saw 100,000 people, and it was like, whew.
In this society, we're made to feel powerless and useless, and that the great and the good should do our thinking for us. And one of the wonderful things that we did in Riot was to say, no, just ordinary people, we can do things, we can change the world.
Grab your tweeds and head to Catch Up TV, where Frank Skinner and Denise Miner continue to recreate a journey undertaken by two literary greats in Boswell and Johnson's Scottish road trip.